Henri Matisse was a famous artist who was born on New Year's Eve in 1869. He grew up in a small town in France. His father wanted him to become a lawyer, so he worked in a law office for a while, but he quickly became bored. When he was 20 years old, he got very sick with appendicitis, and while he was recovering, his mother got him some art supplies to use. That's when he fell in love with painting. He went to Paris to study art. This is one of his first paintings. At the time, Matisse was encouraged to make everything look as realistic as possible. One of his teachers encouraged him to use his imagination to try new things. Henri studied the new artwork that other artists were making at the time, and that influenced him to use bolder, brighter colors and bigger brushstrokes. His style of painting began to change. In 1905, Henri Matisse and his artist friends had an art exhibit together, showing off their new style of painting, which was shocking to a lot of people. One art critic didn't like these new paintings. He thought that they were too colorful and unrealistic. He thought that they looked unfinished. He said that it looked like they were painted by fauves, which meant wild beasts in French. The nickname stuck, and this style of painting is now known as fauvism. Matisse continued to experiment with new ways of painting and started to use a lot more color and patterns in his work. Throughout his lifetime, he made hundreds of pieces of artwork, including paintings, sculptures, stained glass windows, and more. When Henri got older, he developed an illness that made it difficult for him to stand. So he found other ways to continue making artwork as he laid in bed or sat in a wheelchair. Sometimes he even used a long stick with chalk attached to the end to draw on his walls. Though Matisse really loved to paint, he also found that he liked to experiment with the way shapes and colors were arranged. He started to make large paper cutouts that covered his walls and filled his room with color. He was drawing with scissors. He published a book of his cutouts called Jazz, which became very famous. Henri Matisse made artwork until he died in 1954. He is considered one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. His artwork is on display in buildings and museums all around the world.